Welcome back, viewers. If you are just joining, this is Jamano Media TV. Kanifint here. Today, our headline on the Standard newspaper, we have the Speaker tough against NAMS, and also an economist warned against borrowing to fund free flows expenditures. Conference of African religious ministers and ulamas opens today. And now we read the news in details. Speaker gets tough against NAMS, absenteeism. On the Standard newspaper, which published the article furiously about the recent mass absenteeism of members leading to lack of quorum for sessions last week, the Speaker of the National Assembly has cautioned parliamentarians against being absent from Assembly sitting without seeking permission from his office. Prior to this warning, the norm has been that the National Assembly members will take permission from the Assembly table office and be granted without the Speaker's knowledge. But addressing to the issue on Wednesday following the cancellation of parliamentary debate due to lack of quorum, Speaker Fabakary Tombong Jatta ordered for the practice to be abolished with immediate effect. Jatta said, henceforth, NAMS must take permission from his office, from the office of the Speaker, otherwise they will be considered absent without permission. Allowing NAMS to absent themselves just like that without following due process will put my office in jeopardy, because all those who are absent people will think they were granted permission by my office. We have all seen that what happened yesterday. On Tuesday, NAMS were absent to the extent that we could not hold our sittings. That cannot continue, honorable members. If you want to get permission, like I said, I will discuss with the table office, but it's the Speaker who will grant permission. Without the Speaker's permission, you are absent, and then you are considered absent without permission, NAMS were told. Fabakary Tombong Jatta reminded the parliamentarians, your number one priority should be attending parliamentary sessions. All others are secondary, so definitely I would not see my office. I will not see my office to be giving people permission that I am not aware of, and people will be pointing fingers at my office for being responsible for granting them these permissions. And then therefore, we have no other issue until we cannot have quorum, when in actual fact I have been aware. I will put a stop to this. Parliamentary were warned yesterday. And now we come to Modou Sabally, an economist who warned the Gambia government against borrowing to fund frivolous expenditures. According to the economist, the government cannot rely the Gambia economic and opposition to UDP politicians. Modou Sabally has warned the government against borrowing to fund frivolous expenditures. Speaking on the wider implications of the country's national debt, which now stood at 90.7 billion, Mr. Sabally said people would have been comfortable if the monies being borrowed were invested in the drivers of the economic, like agriculture. But it is quite clear from the appropriation bill that the monies we were borrowing are going into frivolous expenditures like high remuneration for parliamentarians, for ministers, and for the office of the president. This is not a good signal, and no wonder the finance minister admitted that this current year budget support promised by the African Development and World Bank did not materialize. Yes, it would not materialize because no serious donor will give money to a country that is borrowing at an extreme high rate and using it for frivolous issues like buying cars for ministers and parliamentarians, Sabally told the Standard newspaper. A high public debt, Sabally added, may also mean a high use of scarce domestic budget resources for debt service. That means the subsequent years we will see more of our funds going to pay interest and principals of public debt. That means less resources for education and other critical social service like health. Regarding the 40 million expenditure appropriated for treatment of senior government officials, Sabally said, for him that just validates my level of this government as an animal farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. He reminded that during the Jammeh era, a budget was set aside under the Ministry of Health for for treatment of everybody, including non-public servants. Public people applied through the office of the president. People were treated whether they were government officials or not, based on merit, based on the critical nature of the situation. But now you have a government that set aside more than 40 million just for top government officials. This is a travesty of justice and a travesty of fair play, and an indication that this is a government that is not interested in democracy. Because democracy is not just about freedom of speech on voting. It is also about the fair of an equitable distribution of the national wealth, Mr. Sabali stated. And today, the Conference of African Religious Ministers and Ulamas opens today and chaired by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Adama Barrow. According to the Standard newspaper by Lamin Cham and Umi Bojang, President Adama Barrow will this morning preside over the opening of the African Religious Ministers and Ulamas meeting at the Sadr Kairaba Jawara Conference Center. The Ulama is a body of Muslim scholars who are recognized as having special knowledge of Islamic sacred law and theology. Some 38 African countries are expected to attend, and a total of 81 participants, among them 9 ministers. The conference is aimed at promoting peace, harmony, unity, and diversity within Africa, the Ulamas, and the world at large, and it is destined to preach how people can live amicably, what the religions actually preaches, and allow people to accept each other's view. Recently, there has been a lot of misconception, non-acceptance, and non-tolerance of each other's view, resulting in chaos and fighting among people with African countries. The Ministry of Religious Affairs is in collaboration with the Muslim World League of Nations, World League of organize this conference to clear this misconception and also enable people to tolerate, accept each other's opinions and views, and understanding their differences with that they believe in. It is Gambia's peacefulness, acceptance, and religious tolerance that motivated Muslim World League of avail us host the event. Lands Permanent Secretary Buba Sanyang told a media conference on the matter Thursday. Binta Jameh Sidibe, chairperson of the National Organizing Committee, said organizing such an event is a litmus test for the Secretariat and the local organizing committee. We already have committees in place responsible to implement the differences tax, namely the documentation, which is very important to Muslim World League. They have 3 working documents: Arabic, English, and French, the accommodation, the logistic and transport committee, and most of them all security have been secured, and we are looking forward to hosting a successful event, he said. That was our news today at Jamano Media TV, and we recap on our main stories. The speaker get tough against NAMS. Economists warns against borrowing to fund frivolous expenditures. Conference of African Religious Ministers and Ulamas opens today. Those were our stories, and now we are saying bye. It was the presenter Adam Ajay at Jamano Media.